Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today we're going to talk about some companies in the critical metals and rare earth sector. This is in North America specifically that would assist America becoming more independent in the coming years, hopefully. And as you can read right there, this is not financial advice, this is just my opinion. So let's get right into it. Like hostile countries to America produces or processes the minerals and metals that are required for modern life. It seems like 80,000 individual components in the United States military. That would mean like 80% of all platforms in the US military would be affected if there were like an issue with supply. Imagine that if 80% of the military was basically severely damaged without the materials in case of war. That would be a bummer, wouldn't it? Starting with Ucore rare metals. Now let's just mention some news since last time we talked about this company during the summer. Ucore has a supply partnership with Critical Metals Corp. By the way, Critical Metals Corp is a couple of years before production. Bear that in mind. 2027, 2028. Ucore also has a partnership with Wheelon and Hastings to secure Yangibana feedstock, which is apparently Western Australia. Apparently they also have a Wilo and Hastings would secure potential feedstock to there. Apparently according to this, they would apparently 37,000 tons per annum from stage 1 mine. They also, this is in October, Ucore received conditional thumbs up basically from the government of Canada for up to 36 million Canadian dollars for the rare earth processing. This would apparently be for like Southern Ontario, I think, which would scale up the first of its kind processing facility in Kingston, Ontario, dedicated to samarium and gadolinium. What a name. And this is obviously based on Ucore's wonderful rapid SX technology, separation technology, which is very quick and very cost efficient. Last news, I think, they have a strategic partnership with Vacuum Schmele and EVAC Magnetics have already constructed a rare earth magnet facility in Southern Carolina with the support of the Department of War. VAC produces magnets in Europe, including like neodymium iron boron, which is like the demand for these things is like incredible, to be honest. And the latest news that Ucore has completed over 5,700 hours of processing rare earth at their like test facility, where they've simulated 24-hour per day commercial production environment, and they've proven that their rapid SX is 2 to 4 times faster throughput, and they have a lot smaller capex than competitors. So this technology would be a tremendous benefit for, well, because apparently, based upon what I've heard, rare earth separation is very low margin. So with this technology, a lot of companies could then in the future benefit or like lease this technology to then have a higher margins. And that is that rapid SX is at least 3 times faster than similar CSX plants with same product throughput, and they apparently don't need as much space, and there's lower construction cost, reduced time to get back to steady processing after disruptions, and it can be faster to commission various feedstock and less expensive to operate and maintain apparently compared to competitors, and also designed to process both light and heavy rare earth elements, which is very important. And the fact that this is very cost efficient and they deliver 3 times faster chemical reaction that they are soon to be using. Between June 2026 and December 2026, they would apparently be starting. And obviously rare earths are used in like electrical vehicles, wind energy, robotics, and national security. And China produces or like mines 67% of rare earths, separating 85 to 90%, according to the website. Rapid SX technology utilizes 70% less floor space than competitors, which means a lot less costs for companies that would implement this technology. Obviously, all of this information is on the website. So they would be very cost efficient. I'm talking about the moat, up to 3 to 7 times faster throughput, lower capex, reduced costs of labor, of processing, and power. So it seems very interesting, and the fact that they are supported by the US Department of War, and they would apparently target commission in their Louisiana plant in H1 2026. In Louisiana, there's like a free trade zone where Ucore is, which means that they wouldn't be affected by the tariffs that much compared to competitors. So they could like import things from across the globe without having to pay that much tariff. So that's Ucore. Let's go over to the next one on the list, which is Electra battery materials. We like processing cobalt, by the way, and other materials in the future, but apparently this would be the first North American fully integrated in like the cobalt space. The cobalt would apparently still be of use, even though with sodium batteries and so forth. Apparently with cobalt batteries still would have like higher energy density and would be more useful for like high-end. And the fact that this company would apparently be starting in 2027, and they apparently have started or very close to starting construction of the project. They have an offtake with LG, between 70 and 80% of all the production with LG for 5 years. And the fact that in the future they would also be having the hydrometallurgical plant, which would also recover lithium, nickel, cobalt, manganese, graphite. Graphite especially being very important due to the fact that the United States is 90 to 100% dependent on graphite, and that's used in especially with batteries and so forth. Cobalt still be of use, still used in batteries, it's used in superalloys, it's used in magnets, catalysts, and it's used even in industries to help bond steel to rubber in tires, apparently. You learn new things every day, and obviously it's also apparently used in superalloys for jet engines and defense applications. And the fact that obviously they are fully funded, the Electra battery materials is fully funded for construction, targeting production in 2027. The fact that they are supported by the US Department of War, Government of Canada, and even Invest Ontario. And they have a $700 million offtake with LG Energy Solutions, or feedstock contracts with Glencore, ERG. And now we're going to talk about two graphite companies that seem of interest, which will be Northern Graphite and Graphite One. Why are these of interest? The fact that graphite has an increasing need, and the fact that they are basically part of every battery other than sodium, but the fact that graphite is used in anode, the negative pole of the lithium ion batteries, single largest component of the battery. They represent 95% of the anode. Graphite is part of LFP batteries, NMC batteries, and NCA, which is lithium, iron phosphate, nickel, manganese, cobalt, and so forth. Where graphite is also essential with the EV batteries, as mentioned, energy storage, and also a part of military equipment such as ammunition, artillery, submarines. They're part of very important in the military aspect as well. But first we're going to talk about Northern Graphite, and then we're going to talk about Graphite One. So why is this also interesting? The fact that they will apparently in a couple of years, because they have 3 mines, 1 in Namibia, 2 in Canada, where they would apparently in the future be producing 200,000 tons per year of battery anode materials, which is the ones used in batteries, which apparently they would be producing in Canada and then, France in the future, obviously if it gets up and going, and would apparently be one of the largest BM or battery anode materials plants outside of China. And phase 1 production are forecasted to start in 2027. Obviously it's a very expensive project. The phase 1 would apparently cost $500 million. But the fact that with the increasing need, and they have been supported a little bit by the government of Canada, where the mine in Namibia is on maintenance, which would be producing in the future, and obviously they have a project called Espesially in Canada, which is a very large project, but their producing asset, which is Lac des Îles, which has had 30 years of experience, and apparently they have 8-year mine life remaining, where up to 213,000 tons of graphite in measured and indicated. And in the Ukanyande Namibia project, apparently they have planned annual capacity of 31,000 tons, and apparently they have 16,000 tons of measured and indicated resource. And in the Espesially project, they have 1.2 million tons of graphite measured and indicated, which apparently they would be producing 44,000 tons per year. The fact that obviously their plans between 2025 and 2027, if everything goes according to plan, would be to increase output of the Lac des Îles. In 2026, they're planning to get their Namibia project up and running to up to 31,000 tons. Operation restart within 12 to 15 months of construction decision. A PEA for the Espesially, which is in Ontario. The project in Quebec, planning to build North America's largest battery anode material. It seems very interesting, and the fact that America is very dependent on graphite. And this is, by the way, this Northern Graphite is the only North American producer. The only one of note. So now let's go over to Graphite One. This is a lot larger. This has an NPV. This is Graphite One. Their NPV pre-tax is $6.4 billion. Their mine life will be 22 years. And the fact that this is news from December, 18th of December, Export Bank of America increased letter of interest for Graphite One supply to $2 billion. Apparently they have the largest natural graphite resource in North America, or at least in America. That resource is located on Alaskan state land and is the largest deposit in the United States. Apparently they would then start producing somewhere between 2027 2028-ish, where apparently the initial would be a development plant of 1,000 tons per year at the beginning, and then they would ramp up to 25,000 tons per year, and then by by 2029, 2030, they would apparently be producing 100,000 tons per year between like 2029 and 2032. So this is obviously a very long project, but it's like massive. So this is like the graphite companies that are of interest. Obviously, they've rallied a little bit in January, better than mine, but they seem very interesting. And then the next one, which is the company we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, which is Alaska Energy Metals. Why is this of interest? Look at this enormous resource. Nickel, 5.6 billion pounds. Copper, 1.7 billion pounds. Cobalt, 442 million pounds, and gold and palladium. And this is, bear in mind, this is just an indicated. This is not mentioning inferred, which is even larger. But why would nickel be of interest? The fact that nickel is increasingly used in batteries, but obviously apparently the main use of nickel is still in stainless steel, and stainless steel is obviously very important for modern society. According to Nickel Institute, 66% of nickel is used in stainless steel, 16% used in batteries, 6% used in nickel-based alloys, and then the rest is plating and alloy steeling and so forth. And obviously with copper used in basically everything electronic, and cobalt used in like high-end batteries and like in military applications and so forth. And the company seems very interesting, and it is on the radar of the US government, but I don't think they have a fully 41 fast-track permit yet, but they are on the list for like consideration, apparently. And this company seems very interesting, and it hasn't barely moved between 2025 and now, basically. So let's go over to the final company on this list. It still seems very interesting, the fact that NioCorp begins construction of their mine at its Elk Creek Critical Minerals project. That was the 22nd of December, that article from the website came out, that they would when starting. They have the largest indicated terbium mineral resource, they have the second largest dysprosium and NdPr indicated resource in the United States, that they have offtake with partners where they would buy up to 75% of their niobium and 12% of the scandium, where they have contracted this, people that are going to buy the produce when they start, and they are supported by the Export Bank, where they are being assisted with loans. And apparently they would be the largest plant producer of scandium. They are partnered with Lockheed Martin due to scandium being important for fighter jets and other defense applications of like aerospace. And the fact that they have a tremendous resource, one of the largest resources of rare earths in America, and the fact that they would have a pre-tax net present value, or NPV, of $2.8 billion, and they would apparently have a 38-year mine life. Mentioning the earlier articles, these companies are becoming increasingly valuable, in my opinion. None of this was financial advice. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed. Have a wonderful day. Peace.